Hello doctors, welcome to the lecture series of the muscles of upper limb. In this video lecture, we will discuss the anatomy of the muscles of the anterior compartment of the arm region. Student, the arm region is divided into two compartments, the anterior compartment and the posterior compartment. In this video, we will discuss the anterior compartment muscle. So the anterior compartment has three major muscles which are named as bicep brachii muscles, the Coracobrachialis muscles, and the Brachioradialis muscle. We will discuss each muscle one by one in detail. Students, moving toward the bicep brachii muscles. The bicep brachii muscle is located most anteriorly and it is the superficial muscle of the anterior compartment. Student, this muscle has two heads, the long head which is located at the lateral part of the muscle, and the medial head which is located the short head which is located at the medial part of the muscle. The long head originates from the supraglenoid tubercle. This rough elevation here above the glenoid cavity is the supraglenoid tubercle. The long head of the bicep brachii muscle originates from the supraglenoid tubercle and run inferiorly through the intertubercular groove or the bicipital groove. This path between the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle is called the intertubercular groove or the bicipital groove. We have discussed it in the osteology of the humerus bone. So the tendon of the long head moves inferiorly and passes through the bicipital groove under a ligament which is called the transverse humeral ligament. Here the transverse humeral ligament is present between the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle of the humerus bone. So the long head moves inferiorly and combine as a single part of the bicep brachii muscles. Now moving toward the short head of the bicep brachii muscles. The short head of the bicep brachii muscle originates from the coracoid process of the scapula bone. This anterior process of the scapula is the coracoid process. So the short head originates from the coracoid process and run inferiorly and form as a single part of the bicep brachii muscles and move distally toward the distal region of the arm. Now the insertion of the bicep brachii muscle is it insert on the radial tuberosity, which is a rough elevation on the radius bone. Student, the bicep brachii muscle also insert to the bicipital aponeurosis. This bicipital aponeurosis is the continuation of the tendon. This tendon run inferiorly and move deep into the fascia of the forearm. This bicipital aponeurosis strengthens the bicep brachii muscles. Now student, moving toward the blood supply of the bicep brachii muscle. The bicep brachii muscle is supplied by the brachial artery. This is the brachial artery. This brachial artery is the continuation of the axillary artery. As the axillary artery passes the inferior border of the teres major muscle, it forms the brachial artery. Now student, moving toward the innervation of the bicep brachii muscle. The bicep brachii muscle and the other two muscles of the anterior compartment is innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. This is the musculocutaneous nerve that innervates the bicep brachii muscles. Now student, moving toward the action of the bicep brachii muscles. Student, the bicep brachii muscle is responsible for the flexion of the elbow and it is a strong supinator of the forearm and it is also a weak flexor of the forearm. Now student, as we have discussed the anatomy of the bicep brachii muscle, here we will overview the bicep brachii muscle. The origin of the bicep brachii muscle. Its long head originates from the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula and its short head originates from the coracoid process of the scapula bone, while it inserts on the radial tuberosity of the radius bone. The action of the bicep brachii muscle is it plays an important role in the flexion of the elbow and it is the power supinator of the forearm. It is also a weak flexor of the forearm. The blood supply of the bicep brachii muscle is the brachial artery. The brachial artery supplies all three muscles of the anterior compartment of arm. The innervation of the bicep brachii muscle and the other two muscles is same as musculocutaneous nerve. Now student, moving toward the another muscle of the anterior compartment of arm region. the Coracobrachialis muscle. Student, the Coracobrachialis muscle is located deep to the bicep brachii muscle. Here, this is the Coracobrachialis muscle. It is located deep to the bicep brachii muscle and medially to the brachialis muscle. Now, student, moving toward the origin of the Coracobrachialis muscle. Student, the Coracobrachialis muscle originated from the coracoid process of the scapula. This process here, this is the coracoid process. The Coracobrachialis muscle originated from the coracoid process and run inferiorly and insert to the medial side of the shaft of the humerus bone. This is the shaft of the humerus bone, and this is the medial side, and this is the lateral side of the humerus bone. So it insert on the medial side of the shaft of the humerus bone at the level of the deltoid tuberosity. Here, this rough elevation is the deltoid tuberosity. So it insert at the level of the deltoid tuberosity on the medial aspect of the humerus bone. Now, student, moving toward the blood supply of the Coracobrachialis muscle. So the Coracobrachialis muscle, just like other muscle of the anterior compartment, it is supplied by the brachialis artery. This brachialis artery, as we have discussed, it is the continuation of the axillary artery. Now, moving toward the innervation of the Coracobrachialis muscle. The Coracobrachialis muscle is innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. This is the musculocutaneous nerve. It supplies it innervates the all three muscles of the anterior compartment of arm region. Now, student, moving toward the action of the Coracobrachialis muscle. The Coracobrachialis muscle is responsible for the flexion of the arm. It is a weak adduction of the shoulder joint. Now, student, as we have discussed the anatomy of the Coracobrachialis muscle, here we will overview the Coracobrachialis muscle, that it originates from the coracoid process of the scapula and insert on the shaft of the humerus bone. The action of the Coracobrachialis muscle is the flexion of the arm, and it is the weak adduction of the shoulder joint. The blood supply of the Coracobrachialis muscle is the brachial artery, and it is innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. Now, student, moving toward the last muscle of the anterior compartment of the arm region, the brachialis muscle. Student, the brachialis muscle is located deep to the bicep brachii muscle and laterally to the Coracobrachialis muscle. This is the brachialis muscle. Student, the brachialis muscle originates from the shaft of the humerus bone, the anterior aspect of the shaft of the humerus bone at the level of the deltoid tuberosity. This is the deltoid tuberosity, and the brachialis muscle originates from the anterior side of the humerus bone, and this move distally toward the coronoid process of the ulnar bone. Student, this elevation here at the interior aspect of the ulnar bone is the coronoid process. So the brachialis muscle insert at the coronoid process. Student, now moving toward the blood supply of the brachialis muscle. The brachialis muscle is supplied by the brachial artery and the superior ulnar collateral artery. This highlighted artery is the superior ulnar collateral artery, which also arises from the brachial artery and move posteriorly and at the medial side of the ulnar bone. Student, the brachialis muscle is also supplied by the radial recurrent artery. This artery here, this is the radial recurrent artery. This radial recurrent artery is the branch of the radial collateral artery, and this radial collateral artery also arises from the brachial artery. This branch here arises from the brachial artery, move posteriorly to the lateral side of the arm. Now, student, moving toward the innervation of the brachialis muscle. The brachialis muscle, just like other two muscles, is innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve. This is the musculocutaneous nerve. The musculocutaneous nerve arises from the lateral cord of the brachial plexus. Now, student, moving toward the action of the brachialis muscle. The brachialis muscle play an important role in the flexion of the arm. Now student, as we have discussed the anatomy of the brachialis muscle, here we will overview this muscle. As the origin of the brachialis muscle is the anterior aspect of the deltoid at the level of the deltoid tuberosity, and this muscle insert at the coronoid process of the ulna. The action of the brachialis muscle is it play an important role in the flexion of the arm. The blood supply of the brachialis muscle is the brachial artery, the superior ulnar collateral artery, which is the branch of the brachial artery on the medial side, and the radial recurrent artery, which is the branch of the brachial artery on the lateral side. The innervation of the brachialis muscle is the musculocutaneous nerve. Student, this was about the muscles of the anterior compartment of the arm region. In next video, we will discuss the anatomy of the muscles of posterior compartment of arm.